Got it.
All right. All right, we are back with another segment. You know who it is. My name is Xavian Tate. I am he, him, his pronouns, and I am the CEO of Light of the World International Corporation, LLC, and or for short LWI. And I'm not alone. I have a team with me. So, Devin, would you like to introduce yourself?
No, but I will. Don't hurt. Hi, my name is Devon Goodwin. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the creative arts officer, CAO for short. It just recently got changed. Still learning the title. And yeah, I am here after work. We're feeling it today.
Woo, woo.
Go ahead.
And then we have our wonderful chief business officer. Uh, I don't know if he can talk right now, but Daniel.
Hi, I'm here. My name is Daniel. I pronouns are he, him, his. And as he said, I am the CBO of Light the World Associate Corporation. Had a little brain moment.
And then we have our wonderful intern, Will.
Hello, everyone. My name is Will, or William. My pronouns are he, him, his. Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited for tonight's discussion.
Yay! I'm excited. So if you tune in to our last live, we talked about the origins of mental health and mental illness. Well, first, this month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So yay, we are super excited. And today we're gonna be myth busting the stigmas of mental health and mental illness. So before we get started, how is everyone doing? How's your mental health? How was your week? Anything exciting?
I started my final. Started my final semester at graduate school. I still can't believe that's coming to a close.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, William coming out the gate. In case he didn't tell you all, he is finishing his master's at UAB in biotechnology, and then he'll be on his way to dental school. So keep him in prayers.
Yeah.
How was everyone else's week?
Lots of
Sure, David, if you will.
sorry, sir. Lots of patients discharging and learning new patients. Almost as soon as they left, there were more coming in. Had a full cottage, didn't have a full cottage. Everybody moved somewhere else. More people moved in. It's been back and forth all week. Other than that, I'm tired.
I feel you. Dan?
Everything's been going pretty cool so far. Been pretty interesting weeks. Got my summer semester set up. I'm gonna be doing jazz band in the fall, so that's gonna be an interesting set of adventures. So yeah, see what beholds us as we go forward.
Jazz hands. Well, I'm super excited. My week was great and eventful. Just been planning for the mental health anime panel that we'll be doing next month. I finished one of my animes today, so now I gotta finish the movie and I can move on to the next anime. I've been resting, and also we ready for the QPR conference that UAB will be having this week. So super excited about that. So it seems like everyone had a good week. We got some stuff going on. We're excited. So we're not going to be long today. So thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to chime in, just chat with us about mental health because it's important. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive in. But before we talk about the stigmas in mental health, let us actually go all the way back. And what exactly is stigma? How did it originate? And how many types and what types of stigma are there? Devon?
Glad you asked. Speaking from somebody with a mental illness, stigma is a big part of my life, whether I like it or not. So let's start off with what even is stigma. Guys, what do you think stigma is to the general population?
I say stigma is stereotype.
Will?
I would agree with stereotypes.
Okay, Daniel? Good answer. All right. That's okay. He's busy. So, stigma technically is kind of stereotyping. So, it's basically when somebody looks at another person in a negative way just simply because they have the mental illness or something abnormal about them. A lovely little part that goes along with stigma, which I use that lightly, is our favorite thing in the world, discrimination. It's the same thing as stigma, and it's basically where you treat someone differently. Stigma is where you look at them differently. Discrimination is treating them differently. While those two go together, it helps individuals not seek professional help. So they feel like a little bit of shame. They don't really feel like comfortable going and getting professional help. And right now, according to the American Psychiatric Association, more than half of people with mental illnesses do not seek professional help at all. Can we believe it? That is sad. Those statistics are just, horrible.
That seems very interesting, Devon, on the difference between stigma and discrimination. While we're on that part, what are some factors that play into stigma and discrimination? Does anyone know?
I think gender is definitely one that has historical significance. I think even economics could play into like income. I think Devon had mentioned, was it 50% of individuals currently suffering from a mental illness don't?
Yeah, that was what I had mentioned is over like more than half don't seek professional. But yes, there are quite a few people that do have a mental illness. And because of the stigma and discrimination, there could be maybe twice or more than what we currently have undiagnosed in this world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even with just the like cost or even being cost of just going to a mental health professional, if insurance doesn't cover it, it's not cheap. And I think also there's definitely a stigma with being labeled. If you're diagnosed with a mental health disorder, it can impact your job eligibility. While it's illegal to discriminate, I think most of us can attest here that they won't tell you why they won't hire you or fire you. They just won't hire you.
Yeah, or they'll just fire you.
Exactly.
But I'm glad you mentioned labeling. Don't worry, Will. That's later on.
Another factor that really means a lot to me that plays into the stigma is lack of proper education. So like there is this famous quote that when you don't have the proper education or people perish because of the lack of knowledge. So like you seem foolish because you don't have the education. Anyone want to expand on that?
Speaking of education, I would like to bring up a point from earlier factors of stigmatization/education. If you remember in our last live, like with gender plays a huge role in stigma and discrimination. Witch trials, hysteria, people who are in mental institutions that are literally forced to do acrobatics and dance for the general public simply because they have a mental disorder. Forced orgasms with this hysteria. What else? Like witch trials. Again, anything that is abnormal causes stigma and discrimination. It goes back when we were kids. You got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. No, society is very, what would be the word? Notorious for doing the opposite.
So yeah, and then so as we go along, Devon, what you I was talking to you earlier and you had mentioned there were 3 types of stigma. So would you like to share what are the 3 types of stigma?
Why, of course, stigma. So there's public stigma. That's one. That's just basically where people are negative or discriminatory, and they have like these attitudes about people who have mental disorders out in public. There is self-stigma, which is not as common as public stigma because, as you know, public, there's way more people. But self-stigma is where you look at yourself in a negative way and you're kind of shamed that you have this mental disorder. Or institutional stigma, which goes back to about how, Will was talking, if you have a mental disorder, they're not going to tell you why they didn't hire you, why they fired you. They are looking at you as they're not going to be reliable, they're going to have a problem. So basically, just using policies from the government and, private organizations that either intentionally or unintentionally limit opportunities to people who have mental illnesses. So, that being said, the most common one thus far right now is public stigma, which I'm sure you can see how.
Yeah. So definitely on that. I do want to know, what is the origin of stigma? When did this come about?
Well, okay, so stigma, as you know, I mentioned the witch trials and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's been on since, human beings have formed an opinion. If you want to get biblical with it, after Adam and Eve, honestly. That tree of knowledge really does something to you. But the concept stigma did not come in until the 20th century. I know, shocker. But according to a book called Stigma, Notes on the Management of the Spoiled Identity, written by Mr. Erwin Goffman in 1963, this is what he has to say about mental illness and stigma. There is no country, society, or culture where people with mental illness have the same societal value as people without a mental illness. What does that say to you? What do y'all think that means?
Devon, would you mind repeating the quote real quick?
Yeah.
I timed out. My internet's...
That is perfectly fine. He said there is no country, society, or culture where people with mental illness have the same societal value as people without a mental illness.
It almost sounds like he's saying that people with mental illness don't have don't have the same, can't have the same morals and values as people without them. So basically, you're labeled different. It's impossible. You're not human.
That they just don't offer the same contributions to society as those not with those not labeled or those not currently suffering from any mental health issue or crisis.
Yeah. So that being said, the same guy, since Mr. Goffman decided that they have no value in society simply because they have mental illness, this made it hard for hospitals or mental institutions, hospitals, however you prefer. They were looked down upon, and due to them being looked down upon, that would mean less funding and less chances for people to go back to, living a quote unquote normal life. So after, here comes in Thomas or Thomason, I forgot what his name is. Let me tell you about this lovely man. I love him to death. He said that researchers then determined that mentally ill people only have mental disorder due to a labeling theory. So in a way, he kind of took stigma off of mental illness by saying, if you're labeled as such, of course you're going to be looked at differently. I told you, Will, that labeling theory is definitely going to come back around. Labeling theory, for anybody who does not know what it is, by definition, is social behavior which states that the behavior of human beings are influenced by the ways other members of society label them. The best example I can give you is, if you're called crazy, you're going to be looked at like you are crazy, no matter how much you change, how much you grow, how much you prove otherwise. You look crazy, so you are crazy. But that being said, as well, my last little tidbit, I promise I'll stop. Fun fact for you. Right now, borderline personality disorder is the stigmatized mental disorder as of to date. Reason being, their symptoms are kind of weird. And I'm not saying anybody with borderline personality disorder, BPD for short, is weird. This is just what they say, researchers. It's because they are seen as dramatic, manipulative, and attention-seeking, which makes it hard for them to be diagnosed sometimes, and they can be incredibly misunderstood. So if a child, for example, or a teenager or whomever has borderline personality disorder, they can just be looked at as simply mischievous or, spoiled or what have personality disorder.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was just like, I hear my voice. What? Ma'am? But yes, there's your origins right there. A whole lot to take in, but makes more sense after I've read it.
It does, and thank you so much for walking us through. I'm definitely going back to look. You said it was a Eric. You said Eric Goffman, right?
No, Erwin Goffman.
Oh, Erwin Goffman. And he wrote a book or a journal.
Yeah. Originally, I thought it was Eric, but then I had to go back and I'm like, oh, wait, it's Erwin. Steve Irwin, just with an E instead of an R.
Okay. And then he wrote the book, right?
Yes, he wrote the book, Stigma, Notes on the Management of Spoiled Identity. So that whole book is completely against anybody that has any sort of mental disorder.
That is definitely on my list. So we talked about labeling. We talked about origins of stigma. We talked about what is stigma. So now that we actually talked about the definitions of stigma and the origins and labeling. Let us.
Types. Don't forget the types. We went through all the types.
What's that? Yeah, I'm sorry. And the types. It was and the types of stigma. That's a whole dissertation right there by itself. A whole 2 to 3 chapters.
All I got for you is, let me tell you, when that motivation kicks in, I will write a whole paper about stigma. You don't get me on a subject I know. As someone, again, with a mental illness, stigma is literally my best friend in this world.
Ooh.
And in a good way. She
Ooh.
just...
Well, we definitely love to see it. So now that we have all the academic information, let us talk about some of the main misconceptions and stigma examples that we hear in the mental health and mental in the world of mental health and mental illness. So what are some main misconceptions that you hear?
Oh, honey, here's my personal favorite. Just get over it. Cheer up. Change your mindset. Oh, it'll be okay. Just wait until tomorrow. Oh, you're just feeling bad for yourself. I could go on, but I'm going to let other people talk.
Gotcha. Will?
Well, I even think, like, with going back to Devon's talk about like borderline personality disorder, being anxious or mischievous, and then going back to even gender. I know for boys, it would be if they were anxious or, you know, kind of rowdy or just emotionally switching, it would be like, oh, that's just a boy thing. And then for girls, if it was a depressive episode or if it was just anything that could be chalked up and kind of pushed under, like, oh, they'll get over it. Oh, she's just going through it. Oh, it's just puberty. But I think during those times, those are probably critical to getting a diagnosis and starting treatment. And yeah, just continually moving forward. I think, unfortunately, there is a stigma with diagnosis, and that can impact you later on. Though it's incredibly beneficial to get treatment started. Unfortunately, as Devon's mentioned, so many don't go and get treatment for various reasons. And that negatively impacts everyone, not just them. But unfortunately, the blame kind of gets thrown onto them. And with that, and I know Daniel just unmuted, and I know he wants to talk, but I think another thing is just one of the ways or sayings they say sometimes families just don't want to acknowledge it. Because one, that can bring on a stigma onto them that they're not, I guess, not being able to hold the family together, or they just don't want a negative perception. Especially in smaller towns, I've seen that to be more common.
You can even correlate it, like, for example, how you had said, people just don't even want to think about it. They want to deal with it. You can even tie that into the gay community. Think about it this way: someone in the gay community or the LGBTQ plus community, however you prefer, they can look at it as, oh, well, you know, they're quote unquote, since we're in the South, they're homosexual. Of course they have a mental disorder. You know, of course there's something else wrong with them, that sort of thing. So, you know, they could even chalk it up to that. They can go as far as, oh, well, his sexuality or her sexuality or even their sexuality is not natural, quote unquote natural. So, of course, they have a mental disorder. That makes complete sense already.
No, and it's actually interesting. And I know, Daniel, I'm so sorry, Daniel, that I know you're on mute, unmuted. Actually, Daniel, if you want to go.
You good.
Okay. But no, it's interesting you bring that, because even when talking with stigma, it wasn't until the early 70s that homosexuality wasn't classified as a mental illness. And it was an update to the DSM-2. But it's interesting because during that conversation, they had gay psychiatrists and mental health experts come up and talk. And one of the famous ones, he actually had to wear like a leather suit type of, or leather face type of outfit to hide his identity. So even with just announcing on like something like that, it put their careers into jeopardy. Even though, if we saw someone on the street with like an MD or a PhD or a counseling degree, a master's, we would think highly of them. But just that stigma could derail their entire career.
One thing I have heard, and then Dad is gonna piggyback off of this, is the main thing that I heard growing up. Oh, what's all, you feeling depressed? Or oh, don't say that. Just pray it away. And Dan knows where I'm coming from. So Dan, can you explain about that?
Well, because as a Christian myself, we always say that God can handle anything. So that's not always the case, and sometimes people actually do need to talk to somebody else. Some need to talk to their pastor, not to be told to pray about it, lay hands on them, and go on about your business, right? But now in this age, a lot more pastors, including my own pastor, Angelina Hollis, they are now putting in consideration that, hey, some people actually might be depressed. Some people might be bogged down by the ways of life and need somebody to talk to, instead of just being told, okay, go sit in the corner, go to your prayer closet, and keep singing Jesus till you feel so shake. Not to be too comical, but that's some of the things that would be said, especially by the older generation that are stuck in their ways. But that's one of the main reasons before everybody has a general understanding, a greater understanding than back then than they do now. They are now actually putting in consideration about people's personality types, what they might be dealing with. Even though we say count it all joy, sometimes stuff gets to us because we're still human. So that's it for me. Anyone else?
Don't worry, I got you. So here is another good one that I thought of. People's mental illnesses are quote unquote violent, unreliable, lazy, dishonest, not hard workers, that sort of thing. Not everybody is violent that has a mental disorder. Now, you already knew I was going to bring this up, but serial killers, okay? I know. It's okay to laugh. It's okay. But as a big serial killer lover, just for the aspect of, well, what exactly happened down the road for them to be this way, just to clarify, I do not condone murder, but a lot of them did have mental disorders. Just because one person went crazy, or off the rails, does not mean the rest of the people that have that disorder are that way. Like, for example, really big one, borderline personality. Not everyone with BPD is violent. Just like not everybody with major depressive disorder are lazy or feeling sorry for themselves. Take me for example. I don't feel sorry for myself, and I work hard every single day. We're not all cookie cutter versions of what our mental disorder says about us.
I love it. And another misconception that is brought up is therapy is only for people who have severe mental illness. And me personally, I would like to tell you that is not true. Therapy is good for the soul. And I am a Christian, and I also do go to therapy. And I went to therapy for the first time. It was during my undergrad. It was the best thing that happened to me. It was It was actually what I needed. I had a safe space. I had an outstanding counselor. And then after that, I set up monthly sessions after that. And then I learned more about myself and how to actually strategically and healthily and strategically cope with the things that I was the issues that I were dealing with. So that is my take on therapy and how it helped me. What are y'all thoughts about therapy?
Would you like to go first, Will, or would you prefer me?
No, I can go. Obviously, I think therapy is good for anyone to go through. I don't think bottling up emotions or hiding things that, anger or upset you from discussion are not going to be good. When I was younger, I went to a support group and I enjoyed every second of it. I got to meet some amazing people that I'm still in contact with. But I think sometimes, we always say that. I think so sometimes it's very limited for people to get to. I don't know how UAB services are. I know at UAH, you may have been waiting a year to be seen by a counselor. And obviously, in that year, so much can change. The condition can get much worse. You could also graduate and you lose access to those services. So, but I think UAB does a little bit better from what you've kind of told me and what Devon's kind of told me. And they're more engaged. UAH is starting, but UAB definitely has a platform already. But I think overall, to answer, definitely important to your overall success, academic, personal, and relationship-wise.
And Devon?
As someone who goes to therapy every couple of weeks or so, yes, what is the best way to put it? In the 5 years that I have been diagnosed, I have noticed that I went from point A to point Z in a good way. I am a completely different person than what I was before. The therapy is very nice. You can use your therapist as a friend, kind of like a friend, but they can offer a more professional answers to your issues. Plus, it's not as biased as if you were saying, hey, X, guess what? I'm having a really crappy day, and you tell me all of these things. While, yes, I do appreciate your suggestion, someone like my therapist can offer me a more professional way to handle it because they have more experience. Although, we are getting experience, so don't worry. We're getting there.
Yeah. So definitely. And then also, just like we mentioned about having faith. What we always encourage people is, if you are a person of faith, do have your faith, because our creator is the holies of holies and the Most High. But also at the same time, you can include going to therapy, going to that support group, having a support system to help you walk through your issues. So that's also included in the package.
Dude, he created counselors. Give it up for him. Yes.
That's it. Was called. I created counselors. Thank the Lord.
But moving on from that, here's another good one. Apparently, according to society, mentally ill people cannot function in society. We're different. We cannot function without our safe boat, our medication, our therapy, or whatever you please. That's a big one. Contrary to popular belief, there are probably multiple people, not counting you, X, because you work in something involving mental health, but there are probably so many mentally ill people around you on a day-to-day basis, like at the store or at the dentist or I don't know, at the car repair place, the mechanics, that you don't even know about. They're functioning. They're at their job. They're working 9 to 5 or the graveyard shift, functioning in society. We function just like you do, just with a little more help.
I love it. I love it. And even though we can go on and on, we are out of, unfortunately, we are out of time. Sad phase. But we hope you did enjoy our wonderful discussion. And as we wrap up, here are some healthy strategies, and here are some healthy strategies on how to help fight the stigmas in mental health. One, education. So attending lives like these really helps. Really helps empower you and to motivate you. So we have that. Anyone else wants to throw out another healthy strategy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normalize treatment. It's normal to seek treatment. It is normal to even think about seeking treatment.
Love it. Definitely normalize therapy and normalize treatment.
And
medication. That's the big one. What's up? Will, do you do you have any?
I do have one, and this is just kind of going back to, I guess, accessing mental health care, is don't expect your mood to be, or your behavior or your problems to all be solved in just one meeting. Usually it can take some time. Even medications like SSRIs can take weeks to take effect. So just kind of take it slow and just, relax, unquote. I know that's not always the easiest, but just take it slow. If you need to, day by day, just do the best that you can with what you can give. That's all.
Love it. And then some more ways you can help be a mental health advocate and and fight the stigma is having that heart-to-heart conversation. Be non-judgmental and create that safe space for one, yourself, and for the person who's experiencing a mental health challenge. So you have that one. And then, of course, we said education. But once you learn the education, go ahead and be a blessing and pass it on. Empower others to do the same thing. Educate others. And of course, we have some wonderful resources for you. We have the National Suicide Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. If you're here in Birmingham, we do. Or if you're not here in Birmingham, we have the Crisis Center, which is 205-323-777. And we have the crisis text line 741-741. And if you have an emergency, please call 911. But we are here to be a light and spread awareness about mental health. Again, in case we didn't tell you our credentials, my name is Xavian Tate. My background is in mental health psychology, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in mental health counseling. And then Devon.
Hi, again, I am Devon Goodwin. I just recently got my degree in mental health psychology and my minor in sociology. I am currently dabbling in addiction, anything involving addiction, and my personal interest is criminal psychology.
And she didn't say she also currently serves as an assistant counselor. And then we have our wonderful intern, Will. Will, what's your background?
So I think my bachelor's in biology and political science. I'm currently a graduate student. Well, I'm not planning directly to go into the mental health field, more dentistry. I think any field, any position, whether you're the cashier at McDonald's or the president of the United States, you should have some focus on positively improving the lives of everyone. And mental health is definitely one way to go about doing it.
So yes, and Will has been a huge blessing, and he didn't tell you all that he has a minor in psychology as well. You see where this is going, right? And then I was
Telling you when you
and then we have our wonderful friend and chief business officer again, Daniel Washington. His background is in music technology and also and also mental health as well. But as we wrap,
go ahead and let him tell you.
well, all right, Dan, let's call it. Go ahead.
I was fine with that, but yes, I'm currently getting my education in music, audio production, and music. Um, I will be looking into music counseling as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of good things going on here.
And he had just been a blessing to us as well, a breath of fresh air, helping us out in the mental health world. So as we wrap up, you got the resources, and if you need to reach out to someone but don't know how, you can after the live, you can you can reach out to us. So you can reach out to our page, you can reach out to my page, and we can follow up from there. If you want to be on the lookout for more events from LWI. So some upcoming events that we have going on. We will be attending the Flourish Black Business Market High Tea event. That'll be next Sunday, May 22nd. So we will be vendoring there and spreading mental health awareness there. We also will be at Alabama Comic Con doing a mental health portrayed in anime panel on Sunday, June 5th, from 2:45 to
Comic Con one.
Yeah, it was from June 20th, not June 5th, 2022 at 2:45 to 3:30. So look out for more information from that. And then of course support us. We do have a journal out, Just Be You Journal. It's only $10 on Amazon, and it's filled with short affirmations, and you can just write in it, right? It's supposed to give you that safe, act as a safe haven to remind yourself at the end of the day, no matter what happens, to just be you. And of course, follow our website, LWICORP.com, and also we do have a link tree, /LWICORP as well. And I will be putting that in the chats. But other than that, we wish you well, and remember that you are not alone. We see you, we hear you, and we love you. And we will see you next time on Light of the Worlds. And I'm going to play the theme song to close us out. Let's light up the world, light up the world. Let's light up the world, light up the world. Share the light, it's about all right.
Beautiful.
Bye now. Yeah, let's see. Stop live streaming and
Cut.